Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Hajjasad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, Second Spring listeners.
Greetings to everyone. If this is the first time you're listening to our podcast, thank you for trying something new. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about what is going on in my life and in the automotive industry. But before we get to that, I want to reiterate, Ben and I are a pair of automotive journalists. But seriously, more importantly than that, we're very, very good friends. Right, Ben?
Who can truly say the importance of friendship?
I'm saying so. It's very important. It's what makes this podcast kind of like, it's like the oil of this podcast.
The oil of this podcast?
Yeah.
As in, like, we bottle it and sell it, or we drain it and throw it away? Or
No, it keeps things going. I mean, if we weren't friends, even if we were just regular non-good friends, I don't think we'd be able to do like 10 years of this. Where can people find your latest work, Ben?
They can find my work at Motor Trend, at Haggerty, and at Inside Hook.
And you can find my work at driving.ca, autotrader.ca, and driving.ca's YouTube channel. Ben, don't you also have like a whole graphic novel comic book coming out?
Yeah, 2 days from when this goes live, April 28th, the Dead Air comic book is back on Kickstarter. Issues 1 to 3 are going to be available at deadaircomic.com. I know in the past, a bunch of you have supported the book, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So if you feel like reading a comic book about a world where one day out of the year you can talk to the dead, and it's a book that also has a heavy 90s university/college radio component, you can check it out Tuesday, April 28th. The campaign goes live at 8 a.m. Eastern, www.deadaircomic.com.
This week, I wanted to talk about something really interesting happened to me in my life. A long time ago, actually, 3 years ago, I had a child. I'm having another one, which is also crazy. But this week,
is that a first announcement on the podcast about the second child?
Is it?
I think so.
Oh no!
Do we have to edit that out?
No, it's fine.
All right.
But this week, I think I unlocked a core memory for my child, which is something really. I think I've achieved something as a parent that I didn't think I could really pull off, but I did it, and it made me really emotional. I want to talk about it with you because it's tangentially related to like the automotive industry and like motorsports and stuff like that. In town, Monster Jam came rolling into town, and I had some time to kill with my son, and we went. I decided to drop all the dollars I've had for this, and we went to Monster Jam, which was really cool for me. And
so I have questions about Monster Jam. So this happened at Hamilton's giant new arena that you haven't taken me to. Right?
Yes, it's kind of we used to have an arena called Cops Coliseum. Now they've changed it to TD Coliseum, and I think renovated it significantly, and everything's dropping by in here, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. What was the question?
The question is, so I've been to Monster Jam a few times, more than a few times, and I wanted to know if there was like a support series that came with it. Like, was there dirt bikes and stuff beforehand or after, or was it like straight up just monster trucks?
Yeah. So this is something they call Freestyle Mania. It has this whole name, Freestyle. I've got to make sure I get it right.
Why? Because the monster truck people.
Yeah. I believe it's called like the Freestyle Series Championship or something. Freestyle Mania Championship.
Okay.
And it comes with a motocross or dirt bike show as well. All of the teams that were represented with the motorcycles also had corresponding monster trucks.
So when I was a kid, I watched a ton of monster trucks. I got to see it live a bunch of times, but it was also, there used to be this channel called TNN, the Nashville Network. Did you ever watch that? It was, I think it eventually became, what is it called? Spike TV?
Spike or Speed?
Yeah. No, it's Spike. It evolved into Spike, I believe. But back when it was TNN, there were three things that show that channel would play. One was Ralph Emery's talk show, which was basically promoting country music. Mm-hmm. Then there was Mud Bog Racing, which I never see anymore. Yeah. But was a lot of fun. Oh, sorry, there's four things. Okay. Mud Bog Racing is the second thing. The third thing is tractor pulls.
Right.
with like the giant tractors.
This is also a whole bunch of like memory fog has been lifted, and I know exactly what's going on for sure.
And then the fourth thing was monster trucks.
Yeah,
there would
exactly.
be monster all the time. And the reason I'm bringing this up, this my own childhood part of it, is because you're talking about how it's like a freestyle mania championship. So when I was young, mostly what I would see on TV, and I guess when I went in person, although in person it was even less clear what was happening. There would be like, it was like a drag race with like a U-turn at the end, and then they would come back again, and on each of the
that's what I remember.
They would crush cars or jump cars. Yeah, that was the whole deal.
We did not have that happen. I was really surprised that did not happen. What they had like a couple of different like things they had to do. So first they had a very short race. It was like basically a 10-second long race. Like it's nothing.
Hey, Fast and Furious, a 10-second race is everything.
That's true. It would race around a mound and jump over the finish line, basically.
And are they racing head to head?
No, they're racing a clock, basically. Okay. Then they would do a two-wheel tricks showcase or competition, and then the dirt bikes would come on. They would do two sets of tricks. They would launch off this massive ramp and onto a pad with like a bouncy pad for landing, which is something I was not expecting, because in my childhood, when you jumped off a massive ramp, there was no soft landing at the end of it.
When have you ever jumped off a massive ramp? Have you done that?
No, yeah, with bicycles when we were kids. Yeah,
you did. You built ramps and did that. Of course. I never jumped off like
so many bikes that way, and our parents never wanted to get us new bikes. And
I never jumped off like a purpose-built ramp, but I do remember jumping off dirt ramps that we would find on the bottom of hills. Too. The first time I lost
tobogganing at the end of a tobogganing hill.
We're not talking about tobogganing.
Huge ramp.
Talking about bikes.
Okay, fine.
But have you ever done an aerial 180 on a toboggan? Like, it seems like something that I don't think that's a thing.
We used to have those wicked like GT snow racers. I don't know how to describe them to people who don't have never dealt with snow or tobogganing.
I remember the first time I was knocked out was probably jumping a bike at the end of a hill like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I opened my eyes and I was upside down in a tree, and the bike was above me in the tree, and I had no memory of how any of that happened.
Okay, so then after that, they did these two tricks. They did two series of tricks for the dirt bikes. Basically, what they did, one set would be no flip style tricks, and then the second one would be all the flips you can think of. So that's what happened.
Was there Truckosaurus?
There was no Truckosaurus.
Or Robosaurus, as he's sometimes called?
Absolutely no. There was no like secondary entertainment.
Okay.
It was trucks and it was monster trucks and dirt bikes. And then the monster trucks came out and they did like I think a minute of like as many tricks as they can do. I saw a truck do a backflip, which was super cool. I saw a truck roll over and have to get rescued by a construction truck, which my child thought was really important. And then I saw a truck catch fire and the driver stood out on top of it cheering. So it was really cool.
What's fascinating to me, and I'm going to sound really ignorant to everyone who is a hardcore fan of monster trucks.
I know. I'm worried that, some of our listeners are going to be like, I can't believe this guy is watering down.
It's something that I really like.
Beautiful motorsport.
It's something that I really liked a lot when I was a kid. I went to a four-wheel jamboree as well, which is like something similar to monster trucks in that there's like a monster truck component, but there's also like truck pulls and more, I guess you would call them realistic pickups doing things.
Yeah.
I remember doing that in my early 20s or my late teens. I can't remember exactly when, but what I wanted to say is I think that maybe the racing happened less at your event because of the size of the venue.
Yes,
I think they need like a really big space to be able to do,
and probably an outdoor
racing.
Space too.
Well, I think I've seen them do the racing at the Big O in Montreal, which is like a pretty enormous, like 65,000 person.
It's a huge.
Yeah.
Was that the one that was built or used for the
Olympics, the Olympic Stadium? It's absolutely awful. But were you going to say bicentennial?
Bicentennial? What is
Canada
it called?
Is not that old. Canada,
the centennial.
1867. We're still a little ways away from a bicentennial. But the other thing that this makes me think of, and this is where I'm going to sound ignorant, is the evolution of monster trucks. It seems to have absorbed a lot from extreme sports, quote unquote, where you have basically these monster trucks are being treated like they're skateboards. and
Yeah,
going out in a
absolutely.
court and doing crazy like skateboarding style tricks, which I think is incredible
Yeah,
because
no,
these are
it's
like
so cool.
what 8 or 9, I don't know, how 1,000 horsepower. How much horsepower do these vehicles have?
I think they have like 1,500, if not more.
They burn nitromethane, right?
It's insane. It's
yeah.
so cool.
Maybe not
Obviously,
nitro, maybe it's alcohol.
one of the things that it is not my first rodeo for a Monster Jam, and it's also not my first rodeo for a racing event. I did have ear protection for my child, and he was really well prepped for that conference. Like, I talked to him about this thoroughly during the day. I'm like, you're gonna have to keep these things on because these trucks are loud, and even with the headphones, they're gonna be quite loud. And he's like, okay, daddy. And so yeah, he kept those on the whole time, and which was useful, but they were so loud I couldn't hear him when he needed to tell me really important things, like he needs to use the potty or the bathroom.
Yeah, you need like a system of hand signals.
I know. So at first I was like, he couldn't have possibly said that, because we're going through potty training right now, which again is like the wild. I don't know if we should be talking about this on the podcast, but
yeah, I don't know why that came up, but all right.
People want to know what's going on in their lives sometimes, but it's such a wild event for me to be like, yeah, sure, I'll just go like solo parent my potty training child to this insane event that he will not want to peel his eyes off of. And yeah,
I want to know what he thought of it.
Yo, he loved it.
Of course he did. It's amazing.
It's so cool. Like I was saying to you, I think pre-podcast is that like I'm always so curious about a child's perspective on something that is so wild to us, but if it's the first time they see it, they might just be like, "Oh, this is normal. Like this is what people do. This is what happens when
you were so worried
happens."
that he wouldn't understand the quote unquote significance of monster trucks. And that was like, there's not much else out there that is more of a window into your personality than that statement. Where you're so like,
mean. But yes, I was basically saying like, I don't think he's gonna get it.
You were so worried about his internal reaction to monster trucks. And then when it turns out that he loved it, because of course it's an incredible spectacle for a child, right? Like it's just amazing. It's just this whole sensory overload. They're huge, they're loud, they go really fast. It's like all of these things are super appealing. And I just don't think there's much internal reflection on what that means in the world. Like, I think that I think a kid's going to see that and be like, I'm really enjoying this right now. This is cool. And then I'm going to want to talk about this for like a long time afterwards.
Yeah. So,
and you were like, does he have the context for understanding why monster trucks are so neat?
Yeah. Like normally, like, does he understand that trucks normally stay generally on the road, don't have wheels the size of like human beings, don't jump over things, don't roll or flip or balance on their rear wheels or front wheels or whatever, right? But he got all of it, man. He got the gist of it. I didn't have to explain to him that these are crazy and cool, and they're basically, like you said, it's like X Games for motorsports.
And you took him there in a Tacoma, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So what was his?
So glad that
what was it like for him when he came out?
What?
Like, did he like come out to this Tacoma? Because like to him, all trucks are monster trucks, right? Like he's literally 2 feet tall.
Yes.
He's like working on he's working on his height.
Closer to 3 now, but yes.
Closer to 3. He's working on his height. So like that's pretty. I mean, even a mid-sized truck is tall for like an adult. So like for him,
I'm so glad you talked about this. Okay, so me and him had several discussions afterwards because he just experienced something that was, I think it was truly like a life-changing core memory thing. And I got really emotional afterwards just thinking about this. Like, I was really heavily involved in making something like happen for him that he's going to be thinking about and dreaming about and thinking like wants to be a part of his personality in some way or another. So he's like, so, you know, I'm kind of like tired. This is how I know that something's kind of like made an impact. He'll ask me, can you tell me the story about how we went to go and see the monster trucks? Even though that happened like half an hour ago, he will want me to like relive it through my words, his experience, and he'll like chime in all the time. And then it did this. He got really anxious when a truck lost its hood. He really pointed that out, and he sounded like he was like about to cry. I had to explain to him that there are truck doctors, truck mechanics who will fix it up and it'll be okay. But anyways, later on, he had this whole conversation about how, you know, I'm like, if you had a monster truck, what color would it be? What would we call it? And so he's given me all these like weird answers, childish answers. But eventually he was like, I'm going to get a truck that's, the first time he said it, is bigger than your truck, which I assume he's talking about the Tacoma. And then later on, he revised it to say smaller than your truck, which I sent you a clip of him saying that I want a monster truck that's smaller than your truck.
And he also had it wasn't just like the trucks he was into. He had a whole routine worked out for how he would entertain the crowd, like including the music that would play when he got out of his truck, and like what he would do when he got out of his truck.
Yeah,
right?
I will make sure that I'll make sure that I'll do a flip and land on my wheels, because he saw a truck fail to do that. I will get out of the truck and play Hall & Oates. He only knows a few bands right now, like real bands right now, including Hall & Oates and Michael Jackson, which we have on our record player. And he'll be like, we're going to play Hall & Oates. And so anyways, it's just such a, I'm glad that 30 some odd years later, after I watched it, it is as much of a spectacle. And again, I didn't go to a live event until I was an adult, but I watched it on TV and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And they would always have those like static Bigfoot displays, I think at the X or something.
Yeah.
And Bigfoot was my jam. Now I look back, have you ever seen a photo of Bigfoot and you're like,
I've seen Bigfoot in real life many times.
It's the most basic looking truck. There's no like livery of any kind.
No. So
compared to what you see now, there's like, one is like a shark theme, one is a bull theme, one is a zombie. It played Michael Jackson all the time.
I'm of two minds on that, because I really think that the classic monster truck thing is a very cool motif. Like, I really think that like the original, what's his name? Bob Chandler? Was that his name? The guy who created Bigfoot.
Right.
So I think that like that design for a monster truck, and there was like USA 1 and all of that stuff from back then. And there's Gravedigger, which was, I think, one of the first trucks to push past the standard pickup truck with big tires thing.
Right.
Where like, okay, here's an old school panel delivery body style. I think the old school stuff really works, but I also think that the new school, like Hot Wheels style monster trucks are very cool too. Like, I think that that's a natural progression. Like, why not do that? Right. Like, this is entertainment, and that's an entertaining thing to see. But the thing about Bigfoot that I think about most when I look back is like how many different versions of Bigfoot there were.
Yeah, and they were like unusable trucks. I don't know if they are.
There were some with like gigantic, like I say giant tires, but I mean like not standard monster truck tires, like tires that were, I don't know, 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And like there was Bigfoot Shuttle, which was the, I believe, tracked version of a Ford Aerostar that was a Bigfoot.
Okay.
There was all sorts of fun stuff like that. It just neat things. I remember there was one called Ripsaw, I think, that was like not a Bigfoot, but like another vehicle that kind of pushed. It was a tracked vehicle again, like a tank, that I think pushed monster trucks in a certain direction of like experimentation and cool things that they could do. Right. And also just the idea of like the competition between the drivers, it seems so loose and arbitrary.
Yeah. Like, I'm so surprised that they like, I'm so surprised at that. Like, sometimes I don't know if you like, I need to explain to you now. Bigfoot was our thing. Like, Bigfoot was like the peak entertaining truck, right?
Yeah, now for a very long time.
Now it's turned into this Gravedigger, who is basically the last truck of the show.
I would say like the 90s were like the transition where Gravedigger kind of took over by the end of that decade.
And this whole thing where it feels like I heard somebody, me and my son went for gelato afterwards, and I heard somebody talking about this, and they were like, well, it's kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters, and everyone else is the Washington Generals, and Gravedigger is like the Harlem Globe. You just know he's going to win at the end.
I don't know if it's like Harlem Globetrotters so much as it is WWE.
Yeah.
Where you have like very, very skilled athletes and performers who are doing something that's extremely entertaining to a large audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at this, and while, Gravedigger won the overall event,
quote unquote.
Yeah, the other teams won the other like parts of it, like the motocross and the racing component of it. So it's interesting, I think, that I don't know. I can't tell you for sure whether or not one is, if it's like planned in any way or form. But it is a great spectacle for children. It was a little bit expensive. I should have gotten them maybe before they were on resale, the tickets, because I think I paid through the roof for that. But it was so worth it. I really think I unlocked some crazy memory for my child. And I think I inadvertently create this sort of like motorsport enthusiast in a way, or something like that. Or he just loves trucks, right? Like maybe that's his jam. He just loves
what's not
trucks.
to like?
And that's fine with me. I don't need him to be a motor enthusiast. I'm terrified of him being like really building something up in his mind in terms of like something. And
by the time he's driving, very little from what we do now will be relevant.
I guess so. I wonder. Yeah,
I truly believe that, because like he's like, 15 years away from getting behind the wheel of anything, right? Pretty much. And I don't think that the experiences you and I had growing up with vehicles will in any way reflect his reality.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious now when we next time go down to like Walmart and he sees the toy lane, if he's going to like gravitate towards the monster truck style Hot Wheels.
He might.
Or the regular Hot Wheels, or the Lego as usual, or whatever like that. It's very interesting. I don't know how many I think we actually do have quite a few parents listening to the podcast.
Of course.
And I don't know what I don't know how to be a parent. I'm going to be blunt about this. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job if you're taking your son to Monster Jam. So.
but I generally try to think, what would I enjoy doing? How can I make it something that he might enjoy doing, or the other way around? And we find a way to like have a ton of fun, and I think he pulled it off. But it was so interesting. Again, I think he shows my personality a little bit, because the entire show he's not saying anything. He has no facial expression. He's not like cheering or clapping or anything. Okay, only thing that caught me out, like he pointed at the truck that lost its hood, and that was like, okay, so he's actually like he's like seeing things that are happening. Like his eyes, he's not surprised. He's not like just sitting there. But at the end of the day, it was very clear that he took every last bit of that event into his memory, and is just constantly recycling it. So much so to the fact that when I'm putting him to sleep, I can hear him whispering, like that day, whispering monster trucks into my shoulder. The monster trucks, like monster trucks. And I'm like, okay, but
finally, we know. I mean, he got that from you too, right? That's how you go to bed at night. You have that app.
Yeah, I mean, I try to. I do have a little mantra that I try to repeat all the time, so I can have like a lucid dream about it, and it doesn't quite work out.
Is that what it's for? It's like that and some like valerian root, and then like you.
But anyways, it really caught my like. I didn't know that it would be so well. Like, it was so good for kids. It's such a trap for parents to get into, because he loved it. He was hooked instantly.
But it's not too much of a trap, because like monster trucks don't come around every month, right?
Well, he thinks they come every day. Every day he asked me, are we going to go see monster trucks today? And I have to be like, no, man, they're not in town anymore. They went to the next show, the next city over. He was like, well, after nap, can we go see them? And I'm like, no, man, they're not here. But you also the next day he woke up and he's like, they are in town, so we're gonna go and see them after nap, okay? And I'm like, bro.
You also take him to the aeronautical museum, right?
Yes, we have something called the Warplane Museum, and I haven't quite explained the logistics of war or what happened in World War II where these airplanes were around. But he thinks that's pretty cool too, and we get
But he knows that like that's not an everyday thing, right? Like, and that the planes aren't always the same when he goes there.
I think that's true.
Maybe that will help him understand monster trucks.
I will try to explain that to him tonight when I have this conversation.
Monster trucks are like the comet of motorsports. Like they come in and out of your life seasonally.
The airplane thing is so sick though too. I mean, we subscribe to like the airplane museum. They have a quarterly, or maybe every other month they send a magazine, and he's like, that's my magazine now. Like he reads it, he flips through it. Daddy, tell me what's going on this page, on this page, on this page. And sure enough, shortly after this monster truck thing, he was like, "Tell me, can we get like the monster trucks in the mail?" Like
You can. Does 4x4 off-road magazine still exist? I remember reading that when I was a kid.
Maybe that's a great point. Okay, yeah, I'll look into
There was
that.
there was another four-wheeler was another magazine that was out. I don't know if that's still around. It's funny though that you mentioned toys, because did I talk about last week about the remote control truck that I'm trying to bring back to life?
You did send me lots of pictures of it, and I don't know if you were asking for me to troubleshoot your truck, but
I thought maybe it would just interest you. I don't know.
It was interesting. It was very cool. Your interest.
So it's tied into monster trucks because it is a monster truck. When I was a kid, there was this very popular toy that was from Radio Shack. Sometimes it was marketed as a Tandy, which was the Radio Shack parent corporation. And mine was blue. There was a yellow one as well. And it was based on the Ford F-150 of the late 70s. So like I believe they're called dent side trucks, 1978, 1979 body style. And the truck, excuse me, it's blue. It looks a lot like a Bigfoot. It has the Bigfoot monster truck tires, and it has high and low gearing in it, actually different gearing. So like you can, if you wanted to crawl up like a steep incline, you could, or if you just wanted to drive fast on flat, you could. And it was called like the Dash 49. I think that was the frequency that it was running on across the windshield. So I had this toy, and I was at my parents' a couple of weeks ago picking up a CRT because I'm still trying to come up with the ultimate Laserdisc setup for.
You're also reliving your childhoods or the.
No, I never had Laserdisc as a kid. Are you kidding? We weren't kings and queens.
The ones we couldn't get, really.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Laserdiscs on this podcast, but the truck still works. It's interesting because it requires 4 C batteries in the truck and a 9-volt battery in the truck. Like that's an odd combination. Yeah. And in the controller, there's a 9-volt battery. So I got everything powered up.
But it's an electric, like it's clearly an electric. In that case, it's an electric RC car. And the big thing lately is
what else would it be? What do you say?
There's gas ones, bro.
Yeah, I had a gas powered RC car in the 80s. Dude, come on. I was a kid. This is a toy. It's not a hobby grade thing.
I'm sorry.
Do you think my parents were giving their like 6-year-old child gasoline?
You've got the coolest, like, I don't know. You have the wildest stories about your childhood.
About all the gasoline we used to play with. No, so this is not a hobby grade RC car. This is like a toy grade one, but I've done some research and it turns out it's well regarded. It was strongly built. It has like multiple drive shafts and locking differentials kind of. And it was just a fun toy. So I picked it up when I was picking up the TV and I saw it in the same storage space. So I brought it back with me. Turns out it still runs and drives, but it will only steer in one direction. And when I try to steer in the other direction, it's like it's binding. So I took it all apart. And those are the photos that I sent you. Mm-hmm. And the gearbox for the steering gear looks okay. And it doesn't feel like there's any I was trying to see if there was like dust or something or dirt that had blocked it physically from moving to one side. And it doesn't seem like it. It seems like the motor inside the steering box will do actually more than a full turn in one direction. And then only like a quarter turn in the opposite direction. So it's like, the motor itself, I don't know if it has a gearing inside of it and it skipped a tooth or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do at this point. This is where I'm going to have to go online and start talking to people who build model RC cars on a regular basis, because I found people who've taken this RC truck and replaced parts of it with hobby grade things, like specifically faster motors or larger battery packs is a popular one. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that because it's a
slippery slope once you start.
For one, it's a slippery slope, but the other thing is the truck was not designed to have a huge amount of power, right? So you can easily overheat the motors. You can also crack.
And there goes your childhood up in flames.
Yeah, it's also
just like young Ben would have wanted.
No, I was not a destructive child. It's also a plastic gearing, so if you get on it too hard from a start, you can crack things.
Yeah.
So but some people have also replaced the steering gears entirely. And that is something I think that I might be able to do and not risk damaging any other part of the truck, right? But I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. So I bought a soldering iron because I couldn't find my soldering iron after I moved. It seems to have disappeared completely. I need to reconnect one of the wires that came off when I was removing the steering unit. But other than that, I don't know if this is like a new project for me, like how involved I'm going to get in this truck, because I could still drive it as it is now. Like it does drive around. I have to maneuver it by like backing it up and moving it forward kind of deal. So if anyone out there, I'm very curious if you're into RC trucks, if you can help, or if you have a memory of either the blue or the yellow Ford monster trucks that Radio Shack sold. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, me too. I actually want to hear that super. Like, I don't know. I'm interested. And you see these things all the time, like in thrift shops or vintage or like community markets or something like that. And if they're easy to sort out, that's cool. But anyways,
the other thing that was cool about this particular monster truck is that Radio Shack sold replacement parts throughout its whole run. So if something broke, you could fix it and just keep going. So that's why they've survived this long.
That's wild. I love that. I love how, I mean, I hate that as a community now, or as like any like toy or anything like that, getting replacement pieces or parts for toys or even expensive toys is really difficult to do.
I mean, it was difficult back then too. I think this truck was probably an anomaly.
Okay.
I think that like a lot of kids' toys were, and still are, as you're saying, considered disposable, right? It's like something breaks and then you just buy the new toy. But I feel like this was produced for enough years that they also used the fundamentals of it for other RC trucks. And I think that allowed them to like justify the expense of building spares. But also it's Radio Shack, right? Like, so again, this is going to date me, but you used to be able to go into Radio Shack. And in addition to how it is now, is there still Radio Shack?
I don't think so.
So Radio Shack.
Are you going to talk about like the bins of...
I'm going to talk about not the bins. I'm going to talk about the walls of parts and like the movable walls. It was like, you know, when you go into a store and they have posters up and it's like a big rack of posters and you flip through them and they're on a hinge. They used to have that, but it was just parts, like electronic parts. Yeah. You could actually buy
like
things.
Capacitors and stuff like that.
Yeah, you would buy things and build things at Radio Shack. So it's kind of their MO was to offer that. So it makes sense that their toys would have that as well.
I wish, you know, I mean, I guess you can maybe do that through like Amazon or something, but
nowadays you can buy cheap motors from anywhere. From what I gather, like that's what I'm seeing a lot of people doing. I'm sure it's easier now. It's just not something like you don't have a corner store where you can go to or a mall where you can go to. You
still have to wait. It's not like as impulsive as I was before, I guess. Or being able to see the piece in person and see if it fits before committing to a purchase, as well.
So we do have some real cars that we're going to talk to.
We shouldn't have wasted like half an hour on non-real things, but
everyone has tuned out.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. I enjoyed it. Who wants to go first?
You got to go first.
I have to go first. Okay, so I drove the 2026 Toyota BZ.
Hey, I've driven that before.
Yeah, we're not going to talk too much about it because we have talked about it in the past. I believe 2-3 months ago, Sammy, you drove it?
Mm-hmm. In January.
So the BZ is the previous AKA BZ4X, which is one of the worst modern names for a vehicle ever to exist. BZ is still bad, but so much better.
Yeah.
It's both of those
that was my thing. It was, well, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just significantly improved.
Well, you know,
to the point where it's like potentially it's like actually competitive now.
That was
my impression.
No, I'm talking about the name.
Oh, sorry, the name. Jesus. Instead of BZ4X?
BZ is still a bad name for a car, but it is better than BZ4X.
Right. Absolutely.
I think we can agree on that.
Yes.
So in other markets in China, the BZ is a whole line of cars. There's like BZ23 and BZ27 and whatnot. And it's like how car companies here tried to use horsepower and torque numbers to delineate their vehicles, except in China they use like power and the size of the vehicle and the body style, and all these numbers mean something. But I think Toyota at one point thought they were going to do that, and that's why they had 4X, because I think 4X meant like all-wheel drive or something. Mm-hmm. They're giving up on that, right? Because now we have BZ Woodland, regular BZ. There's like a baby BZ that's not even called the BZ anymore.
What's CHR, right?
CHR, yeah.
They're renaming our old favorite unusual car.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that's changed. But the other things that's changed, it's got like 50% more power, pretty much. They made a big upgrade for both front wheel drive and all wheel drive models. The range is way better. The internal charging is a lot higher. They went from 6.6 kilowatt to 11 kilowatt on level 2. 314 miles of range, which is like what, 400 and something 460, something like that, 468 kilometers. That's the highest you can get for the front wheel drive models. That's up 75 miles, I think. 60 to 75 miles of improvement for the best range you could get from BZ. So all these things, I'm not going to get too much into the details of the truck. The crossover. I will say this. The original BZ, when I drove it, was extremely uninteresting, was not competitive in terms of power, and was not competitive in terms of range. The new model,
not to mention design, like interior, exterior design.
Yeah, it was very plain. Now, it's still pretty plain. I'll get to that later. But the new model is right there in the middle of the pack.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is an improvement by BZ standards, right?
Yes. So it is a much better BZ. Is it a much better EV? I mean, I would not recommend this vehicle to anyone, but I also wouldn't discourage them from test driving it or buying it. I think that Toyota, which has dragged its feet for so long on EVs, is finally starting to come up with what a Toyota EV actually is. Yeah. And that's where we're seeing this proliferation of different BZ models. And I think that's a good thing for them. Better late than never.
I think I want to talk to you about this in a minute, but yeah, keep going.
Better late than never on that. This is still a platform that is shared with Toyota, with Subaru. The Solterra is the BZ version, or is the Subaru version of the BZ. The BZ, there's also the
Uncharted.
Uncharted is the entry level CHR model.
No, that's
I think it is.
What's the name of the other one then? Trail Seeker.
Trail Seeker is the larger Woodland version.
I'm
right?
so sorry, I mixed them up. Yes, yeah. Trail Seeker is closely related to the BZ Woodland.
Yeah. So there's a lot of twinning there, and when you're inside the Toyota, it's super weird because it actually has an X mode button, which is totally a Subaru thing. It would be like,
yeah, so we thought, right? Like, it's so funny to think that like this is such an important core feature of a Subaru. Oh, and Toyota. Like,
but was it an important core feature? I always thought it was like an extraneous feature, like something that is unique to them, but not one that I don't know how many people use X mode. Personally, have you ever used it?
I have not, but I have it. I have it in my new one.
We've never used it in our Outback.
And I've gone on events. Obviously, I've gone on events with Subaru with vehicles that have the X mode and the dual mode X mode, where they showed their functionality. I will say, recently I saw on Reddit that somebody put the dual mode X mode feature onto a Subaru Legacy. Specifically the one from the Wilderness, like an Outback Wilderness, onto a Legacy sedan. And I don't know if that worked, if it did anything, but it's so funny to think that this is just a piece of software that can just manipulate the way that basically the CVT operates. And
well, I mean, holding that thought, that's pretty much all electric cars going forward, right? It's just like a piece of software.
Would that mean we can get like the Hans Zimmer soundtrack from a BMW?
Yeah, you can get like an M drive mode and an AMG. Like, I guess in theory,
be so cool. Imagine you can get that much hacking going on, or jailbreaking going on, and make that kind of thing happen.
Yeah,
void my warranty instantly on my $100,000 car.
The real risk is like bricking on the highway.
Yeah,
that's what you don't want to happen.
You don't need to. I'll tell you, you don't need to modify some cars to get that to happen.
The BZ also has a NAX port now, so I'm not happy about that. It can still only charge at 150 kilowatt. Like, that's the max. That's, again, nothing wrong with that, but
right
that's
in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, that's like
closer to the end of the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's something you would expect to find from an EV of like 3 years ago, maybe. I would think. And even 3 years ago, Hyundai was way ahead.
Was still there. Yeah.
Driving it was fine. It's actually pretty quick. It's like less than 5 seconds to 60, which is unexpected for a vehicle like this, especially one that's relatively affordable. I mean, in Canada, the one I drove was a mid-trim XLE all-wheel drive model. It starts at this is so weird because on the Toyota website, it starts at 56,390, and I have a Monroney, a window sticker for mine that was 55,810. So I don't know how I drove one that's cheaper than what they're selling now. There's a more expensive limited all-wheel drive that is like literally 10 grand more.
I think that's what I drove.
That seems to have. I don't know what you get for that. Like,
Is that the dual wireless phone charger? Did you have that?
It has. Yeah, I had the dual wireless phone charger.
Did you try to like you tried to ask me to do?
Like
You
have a
tried
phone race? Or put the charge with both of them at the same time? Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's what
I didn't try that. No, I this has X mode with grip control, if that means anything to anybody. Has a 14-inch multimedia.
That mean? That is the least productive point in a Toyota brochure. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm trying to figure out what the differences between them. I think it's coming down to an aero spoiler, a panoramic sunroof with power shade. Mine didn't have I don't think it had a roof at all. A sunroof
you were driving a convertible. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to remember. It might have had a sunroof. It might not. I don't think it did. Heated and ventilated seats. I know mine had heated. It didn't have ventilated.
Okay.
I think it had. Oh, it has a louder stereo system. That's pretty much it. It's not a lot for your 10 grand. So I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
In any case, in the US, it starts. There's only two trims: 34,900 for the base XLE. In Canada, we get a base XLE front wheel drive. I think the way the States runs it is you can build. Yeah, you can choose front wheel drive or rear wheel drive or all wheel drive instead of upgrading to a different trim. Whereas in Canada, they make it a separate trim. So it starts at 35,000 basically. And then the limited is 43,300. Now, the biggest problem I have with this vehicle, I mean, Sami, two things. You said it looks better than the old one, right?
Marginally, yeah.
I still think
they did that like, it used to have this black body color, this black, seemingly unpainted bit on the front. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Vaguely. This is a wallpaper car for me.
Yeah. Okay, well, they used to have this thing, and now they've made it like you could paint that bit, so it will look good.
It's I think that the vehicle is bland. I think it's okay. It's inoffensive. Inside, it's really not doing itself any favors. It has the same thing that I didn't like about the first BZ, which is the gauge cluster is pushed all the way to the front to the windshield, which I guess is like a fake HUD essentially.
Right.
And I don't like that. I don't need to be that far away from the gauge cluster. I think it leads to odd proportions on the dashboard. The second thing about the interior design that bugged me is it has a very, very, very overactive driver attention monitor.
Yes.
And not only is it like, I'm talking, if you look to the side to check a house number while you're looking for an address, you're going to get dinged. I took my dad on a road trip in it, and he kept asking me why it was pinging all the time. And it was because I would like turn my head to answer him or turn my head to look at something outside and it would ping. But the other reason it was going off was if you hold the steering wheel so that your arm goes in front of the steering column, the sensor monitor is right on the column where your arm is going to completely block it when you're turning. And that will set it off too. And this just sucks. This is not a good design, and I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Toyota has particularly a very sensitive driver monitor. I don't know how they calibrated it or what they're expecting from drivers, but it seems like just natural actions while driving can cause it to do some pretty, can cause alarm for it. And I
tried to turn it off. I couldn't figure out how.
Okay.
I don't know if you can, but I was unable to do it. The second, also the interior is functional though. There's room, there's cargo space. It's going to do what you need it to do. I just don't think it's a standout. Okay. The other thing though, that's more problematic. So we were talking earlier about range. The US range says 299 miles for the top limited. We talked about that a little bit. 236 is the base. In Canada, the exact numbers are not posted on the website, which I think is funny. Mm-hmm. But if you go like just a quick conversion, 299 into kilometers is about 470, 480 kilometers, right?
Which is super okay. Like just fine enough.
I never saw more than 299.
That's insane.
And I had it for a full week. And I know I talked to some people who work with these cars and they're like, well, maybe after a full week, it will reset. Maybe it's the person who was driving before. was somehow knocking down the estimated range. Okay, first of all, you'd have to drive pretty hardcore to knock like literally 180 kilometers off of the estimated range. But second, when I first got the car, it was a little bit chilly, but it warmed up quite a bit during the week, to the point where on the final day where I did my road trip, it was 22 degrees outside. So that's like 68, 69 degrees, I think, right around there, versus the 10 degrees, 15 degrees when I first had the car. Even then, with that huge temperature increase, I didn't have any improvement on the efficiency of the vehicle. And in fact, Sami and I did some calculations based on the average kilowatt usage, kilowatts per 100 kilometers. And it was accurate. What we were seeing on the screen, like even if we fudged it a little bit, it was not going to give us more than like 330 kilometers on a battery charge. So I think there might have been something wrong with my tester.
I had it I had the BZ in a very cold winter, and I was expecting, the usual like 20-ish percentage drop. And I did get a little bit more of that, but what I saw was that the car wasn't was occasionally like not logging 1 kilometer as a kilometer off on its range estimation. And eventually then it started doing it. So like it took a while for the range estimate to kind of like pick things up. So I remember asking you like, maybe it's just being really conservative or something like that. And you were like, no, it's clocking every single kilometer.
It was going down at a fairly steady rate.
Which is not a great feeling with 299.
And like I said earlier, like we did the calculation based on energy consumption. And it was much closer to the worst case scenario than the best case scenario.
Right. What is your overall sort of like impression here?
As I said, it's a very average vehicle, which is a win for Toyota, but I don't think it's necessarily a win for owners.
Okay.
I haven't driven the Woodland. I haven't driven the smaller version whose name escapes me. Is it still called the CHR?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe those are a better choice. I don't know. For this money, you can do a lot better. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that caught me off guard, and we can talk about this just very briefly because it's more of like insider baseball maybe, but other automakers are turning their backs on the EV segment in the upcoming years. And that has a lot to do because of either incentives are being shut off or the profitability just isn't there. To see Toyota like engage with the EV market in a way that is unexpected for Toyota, because they've dragged their feet so hard on the first generation EV that they had, to suddenly develop a new battery and new motors and new like product packaging, while we're getting the news that Nissan is just not going to sell Arias in I think it's the US or both US and Canada. I can't recall. But like Ioniq 6 is also like going to take a break for a minute. The ID4 is gone.
I think that it's product decisions that were made way before.
That's also interesting. Like which product decision? Sorry, to cancel those cars?
No, to improve the BZ.
Yes. And now that they've committed, now they have to keep going with it, right? Although you could be Honda and just kill the car.
Well, Honda's decision is totally baffling, but Honda also had no product. So like, it's not like they would have had to build out an entire network of training mechanics to work on these vehicles, having parts supply for EVs. Toyota's already done that.
Yes.
They are committed in that sense. And I think the other companies that you named, Nissan, Volkswagen, who are backing away, they are companies in trouble.
Okay.
Who do not have a lot of cash and don't necessarily have a plan for North America that makes a lot of sense. And Hyundai with the Ioniq 6, Hyundai is actually bringing more EVs to North America. They're bringing stuff to Canada that the United States isn't getting. The EV5, I believe, is out now for Kia. And the
EV4
the overall
for Canadians.
I'm sorry.
As well, isn't it EV4 for Canadians?
Yeah, I said the EV4.
You said EV5.
I said the EV5 after that.
Okay.
The EV4 is coming to Canada, and then I mentioned the EV5 is out now, and that's both countries as far as I know. The reason the Ioniq 6 isn't coming anymore is because it's not built in the United States, which is why the Ioniq 6 is gone, and the EV6 GT is no longer available in the US because that model was built in Korea as well. But
it's also a very niche vehicle. That's like a niche vehicle, right?
Well, in a sense, but it's also a range topper. But the more important aspect of it is they have a plant that builds Ioniq 5s in the United States. Mm-hmm. They have a plant that can build EV6s in the United States, I believe. So they're not facing tariffs there. The only companies that are backing away from EVs are the ones that are in trouble and the ones that are based in the United States. And I think that's very telling. Because
I think Ford, and then there's the whole thing with the Chevy Bolt as well. Although that's a different class. But I also would like to point out that like ID4 and Aria, not so much, but ID4 was like, it had a full generational life, in my opinion. Like it was out for a fairly decent length of time here in North America. And I think
and they upgraded a plant to build it in the States, and it cost them $1.5 billion. And now they're going to have massive overcapacity at this plant.
Yeah, that's
like, how is that a plan?
Yeah, that's true too. So I just think it's so interesting to witness Toyota like executing a bit of a plan, even though they've really, really taken a long time to get here.
The other thing to consider too is like the reason I mentioned North American car companies is because all the companies we're talking about, they sell cars outside of the United States.
Yep.
And outside of the United States, people are buying EVs. So it makes sense for them to do this. And if they can't do that, it's probably going to be a capital reason, not a strategy reason. Although Honda's decisions are baffling to say the least. But the North American car companies do not really sell cars outside of the United States, at least not using the same brands. Right. And so we've talked about it in the past. We could be looking at 10 years from now, companies that are only able to sell in the US because they don't have a vehicle that is competitive anywhere else.
Right. So now we've got a car that is more competitive than it's ever been, of course, and right in mid-pack.
Is that your advertisement for the BZ? Now more than ever.
Now more than ever, it is right there in the middle of the pack. And we'll see if it sticks, if other automakers pull out of this segment, which is, not like when people pulled out of sedans, the Camry was like a pretty top-notch product. So it's not like they just cleaned up on what was left over. But is that what they might do with the BZ? I don't know.
What do you mean?
I'm just thinking out loud.
I don't think so. I don't think people are going to be flocking from other EVs to the BZ. I find that
they'll go to Ram and get a V8.
No, I just don't think that the vehicles that are leaving the US market are the ones where the owners are going to be like, well, now I want a very average EV to replace my very good EV. Like I don't know if that sentiment is there.
Yeah, I guess so. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
I do want to bring up the fact that European car companies are also doubling down on EVs. We have in the last month alone, we've had the GLC electric and the C-Class electric come out from Mercedes-Benz. Right. And both of those vehicles are essentially new and are big upgrades style-wise over the EQ line that I think Mercedes is essentially backing away from. The very bland styling that they had on the EQS and the EQE. I think that the days of those vehicles are very numbered. BMW has the i3 and the iX3 that are coming out.
They're making a huge deal about this. This is as big of a push from BMW as I've seen in such a long time.
Well, I think what's happening with both of those vehicles is we're seeing the future of styling being led by electric. Versus in the past, it was kind of kept separate. But I think that the gas-powered 3 Series, the next generation, which should be coming very soon, will likely take its styling from this new class-inspired version of the EVs. And that's exciting. And it shows that, it's not just Chinese car companies that are investing heavily in EVs. The European car companies are doing it too. A couple of Japanese companies. And the Koreans are very, very committed to EVs.
Yep. Is that it for this week's episode? Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say that's I'm pulling the curtain on this one.
Wow. Okay.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you do because we've got more like this. Well, maybe less
monster trucks.
Yeah, maybe less parenting, like discovery conversation from my end. But I really encourage you to head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com, where you can see all of our previous episodes as well as links to the stories that we've written about some of the cars that we're talking about this week. Next week, I'll be talking about the Lexus TX. Ben, what are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about a vehicle that you can't buy in the United States, and I think that's a sad state of affairs. It's the Kia the Kia EV4.
And I would really encourage our listeners to either head on over to our website or send us a message. We've got a contact form on our website, so you can fill that out, send us a question about those two vehicles we just mentioned, or you can email us the old-fashioned way it's benjamin@benjaminhunting.com, or you can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Sami_ha, like you're laughing, and Ben is at Hunting Benjamin. You can send us some messages there if you've got any questions or comments about either this week's episode or any future episode that you want us to talk about. We love hearing from you guys.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.